So now there are three cases to look at: using universal APIs, using APIs that are in all our target families, and using APIs that are in only some of our target families. This is the first case. This is the easy one. In your app, you can use the universal APIs without any worry. They're freely available to you. They're available on every device that you might be running on. This case is more interesting. Suppose, again, we have a hypothetical app that's targeting mobile and desktop. There are some contracts, calls phone for example, that are part of the mobile family but not desktop. Similarly, there are some contracts like these over here that are part of the desktop family but not mobile. There's also some here that live in both. So for example, Wallet is available both in the mobile family and in the desktop family. These are not part of the universal family, but they do exist in more than one of the device families. So again, here we have our app right there targeting mobile and desktop. The intersection of all the families we target, we can use those APIs freely. In other words, we can be guaranteed that those APIs will exist on any device that we're running on because they exist in every one of our target platforms. Certainly, if you wanted to be conservative, you could still write platform adaptive code to dynamically test for whether or not those API contracts are available before you use them. But as long as your device family targets here stays the same, you're guaranteed that these will be on every device that you run on. And this final case is the most common one that people talk about when they think about platform adaptive code. Our goal now is to use the APIs that exist over here and over here. In other words, API contracts that exist only on some but not all of our target device families. So we target desktop and mobile. Therefore, sometimes our app's going to be running on a mobile device. Sometimes it's going to be running on a desktop device. If we want to use an API in this category or over here in this category, we need to dynamically test to make sure they exist on our runtime device before we attempt to access those APIs. So this is the most interesting case. This is the case that people mean when they mostly talk about platform adaptive code. Let's do a specific example here. Suppose we wanted to use the image scanner class. This is part of the desktop API contract. More specifically, it's part of the, if you look down here at the contract name, it's part of that device contract right there, scanner device contract, which is included in the desktop device family. So our goal is to use the image scanner class. Remember, that will only exist when our app is running on desktop. It will not be available when our app is running on mobile. We need to therefore do a runtime dynamic check to see whether or not that contract is available. And to do that, we use the API information class. This first method right here, see how it returns a bool, is API contract present. You pass in the name of the contract, and the contract name there, let me go back, is this string right here. See, it says API contract, Windows devices, scanner, scanner device contract. So you grab that string, you call this method, passing in that string. You can pass in version numbers. There's a few overloads of this method that take different selections of version numbers. We'll talk about versioning in the next section. Here we're mostly just concentrating on whether or not the contract is present. So this is one option, test for the whole API contract. Another option is testing just for types or members. So for example, instead of asking up here whether the scanner contract is present, you could ask if the image scanner class was available. And that would just save you a step. You don't have to then go look up the documentation for the image scanner class and figure out what the contract name is and so on. It's mostly personal preference which of these you choose. These methods down here are actually fairly powerful. For example, if I call isTypePresent and I pass in the full name of the image scanner class and that comes back true, since the image scanner class is part of the scanner device contract, I can be guaranteed, since one type from that contract is available, that all the types from that contract will be available. Here's an example on how to do this. Again, you start with that string. So you go to the documentation and you basically copy and paste this contract name from the docs, and then you just call isAPI contract present, passing in that string. And again, we'll talk more about the versioning in the next section. So if this is available, if you do have the scanner API available to you, then you adapt your UI and your functionality to use these capabilities.